Here is our Metro Motor Group tail of the tape. 6 rounds in the welterweight division. The tough Christian Steele comes in at 4-9 with 1 knockout fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia. He weighed in at 145 yesterday. He takes on the undefeated Nick DeLomba, 4-0 from Cranston, Rhode Island. He weighed in at 145. No real height advantage. 5'8" DeLomba taking on the 5'7" Christian Steele. We'll send it down to Adam Plazio for the official introduction.
This fight is scheduled for 6 rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 145 pounds, a veteran of 15 professional fights, hailing from Atlanta, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, Christian Steele. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in at 145 pounds with a professional record of 4 wins and 0 losses. Hailing from Cranston, Rhode Island. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick DeLomba. Your referee is Mike Ortega.
Welcome back to Twin River Casino. Mike Parenti joined by Scott Ream. This is our 6-round co-feature here at Title for Title. Nick DeLomba in the white and red shorts taking on Christian Steele of Atlanta, Georgia in the black and white. Now Steele again is another example of a fighter with a deceiving record. He comes in at 4-9. Tough fighter, Scott, taking on always the best competition. Only stopped 3 times in his career. You look at the records of the opponents he's faced: 5-0, 10-0, 8-0, 5-0. Go all the way down the line, and again tonight, another undefeated foe in Nick DeLomba, who is 4-0, a protege of Gary Tiger Valletta.
You're also looking at 15 professional fights of experience, and that just speaks volumes. There's a lot of things. We were talking about experience earlier with the guys, the pro debuts of their second or third fights. 15 pro fights, that's tons and tons of experience.
Now, DeLomba known around here for jumping into 6-round fights right out of the gate in his pro debut. In fact, his first 2 fights were 6-rounders. He scaled it back against Josh Beeman in March. And again, that was a veteran of 19, or rather 23 fights, and he beat Beeman by unanimous decision, then took a big step up in July, taking on the 9-1 Edwin Soto, and beat him by a majority decision in a 6-round bout. That's his biggest win to date. And DeLomba again going forward here, taking on the tough Christian Steele at Twin River. You see him boxing on those angles, Scott, something he's learned from his boxing coach, Vic Fagnan, over the years.
Nice job.
He's also had to switch camps through the years. He's never really had a stable training camp until he started working with Vic and Gary at Valetto's gym, and now he's got some stability on him. That can make a difference.
That makes all the difference in the world, in my opinion, when you feel like you're at a place where you're home, you feel comfortable.
Just under a minute to go in this opening round. DeLomba thus far just outboxing, outpointing Steele on the outside. No real exchanges on the inside just yet.
No, both fighters seem content to stay at distance right here. DeLomba's doing a really good job of bringing that right hand downstairs off the double jab. Most fighters tend to bring it up, right up, double jab cross to the head, but he's going downstairs, right to the solar plexus, right to the spleen with it.
One of the things that Vic Fagnan has promised with DeLomba is more power as he gets older. We really haven't seen flashes of it yet. He doesn't have any knockouts in his first 4 fights, but part of that is the level of competition he's faced as well. He's taken on some tough, cagey veterans in the ring. A guy like Josh Beeman, who despite his record, is a guy who doesn't get stopped all that often in his career.
Well, learning how to punch is a big deal too. Learning to sit on your punches, learning to root your punches, that's going to create power. Accuracy creates power. Better technique and speed creates power. So, of course, the more time he puts in, the more experience he gets, the more power he'll develop.
All right, we'll listen into Christian Steele's corner between rounds.
Hey, where the Vaseline at, man? Come on, man. Come on, come on, come on. All right, I got you. Yeah, but if you sit there and you wait on him too long, he's going to try to fucking outwork you. Don't let him outwork you. If you ain't doing nothing, don't just stand there. Your defense is great. You're doing some great work to the body. But I need that jab a little bit more. I got you, all right? Give me that jab. I got you. I need that jab. Up and down with that jab. What you doing with that right hand is beautiful. Keep digging down there, okay? Don't wait on this dude. Come with the jab or something, okay?
So you heard Christian Steele's corner between rounds, basically telling him to pick up the pace and not let Nick DeLomba outwork him. We'll see how that plays out here. Round number 2 underway. Round number 2 of 6 here in this welterweight bout. Nick DeLomba in the white and red trunks taking on Christian Steele of Atlanta, Georgia.
Steele doing a good job going to the body there.
Mike Parenti joined by Scott Ream. We are ringside live at Twin River Casino. Our main event just around the corner. Rich Gingras and Joey McCready, title for title. Right now it's Nick DeLomba and Christian Steele. DeLomba trying to go to 5-0. Steele searching for his first win since December when he beat 3-0 Lonnie Jackson by majority decision. That was in Pennsylvania. Somewhat of an upset. And again, anytime Steele has fought, he has faced an undefeated fighter really in his last 9 or 10 fights.
Well, you know, he's definitely got the journeyman tag on him. You know, when you have a bit of an upside-down record like that, guys bring you in for you're the sounding board now. You're the guy with the 10 or 15 fights. Let's see how my young 4-0, 5-0 fighter fares against a veteran. Nice right hook by Steele. Again with the right hook over the top. DeLomba answers back. Goes to the body very well. I like to see that. DeLomba again playing his angles very well. There's the speed from DeLomba.
DeLomba, Scott, is another one of those promising young fighters from this new era of New England boxing. We talked about Real Oliveira Jr., Scott Sullivan, Kieri Gray Pitts, and now you have Nick DeLomba at 4-0. All these young up-and-comers who one day hope to be at the top, and maybe that torch one day will be passed. We always talk about Peter Manfredo Jr., who has since retired. Who's the next Manfredo Jr.? Who's the next star in Rhode Island? Could it be a guy like DeLomba? What do you see in DeLomba? What does he need to do to really make that leap?
Just do what, maybe the biggest thing he did to benefit himself is to find a camp he's happy with. Find a place he can call home. People he trusts, a training staff he can trust, and he has a great one with him now. But someplace that's comfortable for him. And that'll instill confidence, that'll make him want to go to the gym every day and get better. That's probably the biggest thing in my opinion. When you're in a place that you know is home, that'll help you get better. He has the skill set, you can see it here. He's clean, he's crisp, he's boxing well. I love the way he goes to the body. He really throws that right hand. I think Steele might have eaten a little bit of that right hand. He's not happy right now. That right hand to the body, I think, shook him up.
2 rounds in the books here in this co-feature. Let's listen into DeLomba's corner.
Beautiful. Keep it up, baby. Nick, you're letting them get closer. You're letting them get closer. Make him fight your distance. Don't fight his distance. Don't give him a chance. Keep it away. Keep it at this long. All right? Don't give him a chance to get close. The only time he can hit you is when he's close. Don't let him get close.
Let him walk in on you.
Keep working that jab and hook off of that jab once in a while. All right? And when you throw that right hand, set down on that fucking
Scott, you heard Victor Fagnan between rounds telling DeLomba to follow through with that right hand and sit on that right hand, not throw it while he's backing out, which you see he has a tendency to do. It's a very good point by Fagnan. We'll see if DeLomba takes the advice here in round number 3, because that's where the power comes from, essentially, Scott.
Oh, you have to sit on that punch. The punch comes from your legs. You want to sit and get rooted, and that's the power. And what he says about the difference between backing out, pulling out is backing out. There's no reason for him to, when he's done throwing his combination, to like bail on it or back straight out. Change your angle and fire again. Or change your angle and make your opponent turn into you, catch him turning into you.
And also pointing out not to let Steele get too close. DeLomba maybe has to mix in that jab a little bit better to keep the distance and let him fight his fight.
Well, you just saw right there where DeLomba kind of crowded his punches, where his footwork, he got a little bit over-aggressive with his feet and got in too deep. His corner, Vic, told him to stay at distance. Right now, he's crowding a bit, and that works better for Steele, who's the smaller fighter.
Once again, we are ringside at Twin River Casino. Mike Parenti joined by Scott Ream. This is our co-feature bout.
Both fighters exchange hooks.
Nick DeLomba in the red and white trunks and Christian Steele from Atlanta in the black and white. DeLomba has clearly outworked Steele through these first 2+ rounds. There's been no dispute about that. We'll see if he picks up some of the advice from his corner along the way and sits on those punches. That could be what leads to the power and possibly the first stoppage of his career. He has actually gone the distance in each of his first 4 fights.
Well, I like to see from DeLomba, I like him to stay at distance, like his corner's asking him to. It's okay to come forward, but come forward in smaller steps. Don't jam your punches. In Steele, when you get deep inside like that, start working the body. Steele needs to just drop inside, come inside off punches. Right now he's coming forward and just kind of dropping into the clinch like that.
One other benefit too that DeLomba has had working with Victor Fagnan is his conditioning and his weight. His weight's been on point in each of his last 3 fights. In fact, he's come in underweight, weighing in at 144 or 145, whereas last November could not make the 145-pound limit when he was supposed to fight Carlos Hernandez from Connecticut. That fight ended up getting scrapped at the weigh-in, but DeLomba's conditioning and everything has been better. It's just a better all-around feel for him in this new camp.
Again, when he's in a place where he's happy, he's content, he feels comfortable with the people he's working with, that's huge. You're more likely to be accepting of new things, be accepting of change, work harder. Good defense here by DeLomba.
DeLomba keeping those hands up.
Now look at those angles. That's what he's talking about. You're working those angles. Steele's throwing punches at the air because DeLomba's playing his angle.
Great movement by DeLomba here in this 3rd round. Halfway through, it's been all Nick DeLomba against Christian Steele. We'll take a listen here and listen to what Steele's corner has to say.
Hold on, baby. Hold on 1 second. Hey, look. I got you. Chris, no, you saying you got me, baby, but you don't got me because you're not doing what I asked you to do. You got to come off the jab. You can't sit there and wait because he's accumulating points. You got to keep digging everything off to the jab. Keep digging, stepping around this kid, man. Keep stepping around this kid.
You got to follow the jab.
Yeah, you can't throw one and you hurt. You throwing one and you hurting him, and then you letting him off the hook.
That shit don't let him off the hook.
No, put them together. Put them together. Put the punches. Talk, come on, man. Put them together. Everything off the jab. Everything off the jab, and go right back to the body on it. Okay? Come on, Chris, man. You got this right here. Only thing you got to do is work for it. That's what the fuck you came here for.
Round number 4 underway. Mike Parenti joined by Scott Ream live from Twin River Casino. Now Christian Steele picking up the pace, much to the advice of his corner.
His corner told him you got to come in off the jab. You got to stay busier and work. And as we said in the 3rd round, Mike, Steele was just coming forward and plodding along, throwing 1 punch at a time at best. And now he's staying busy. His corner wants him pumping that jab.
Interestingly enough, Steele, despite being from Georgia, has only fought in Georgia once. He's actually made quite a living out here on the East Coast in New Jersey, Atlantic City, Pennsylvania. fought his last fight out in California, so well-traveled, definitely experienced, as we mentioned, so it's part of that unorthodox style. Those experienced fighters, Scott, seem to know how not to run into punches and get stopped. They're just cagey veterans who know how to give you a fight and more often than not, go the distance, and that's the challenge here facing Nick DeLomba.
Well, part of being a young fighter that's 4-0, as much as you want to finish, it's getting the rounds in, getting rounds of work, but good rounds. And right now, DeLomba's getting good rounds. This actually looks to be Steele's best round. Steele looks, to this point, the most competitive we've seen him in this fight.
Steele's been a lot busier in this fourth round than he was in the first three. DeLomba continues to fight on those angles that we spoke about in that third round.
This is where DeLomba is jamming his distance. He's getting in too tight. His corners asked him to stay at distance. He's doing good work right here, but if he could maintain his distance and do that work, Steele wouldn't be able to clinch up.
DeLomba has a slight height advantage. It's really not much, maybe
It's
an
reach.
inch at best, but it is reach, you're right. And he'd be much better on the outside than trying to fight close inside of Steele.
Nice left hook off the, that's at distance he's scoring. If you notice that time, DeLomba stayed outside, made Steele come at him and scored on the way in. Nice over the top right hand by DeLomba. Now there's your angle change from distance. Steele he's prodding in, but he's not coming in off a jab.
No, and certainly not quick enough to keep up with all those angles by DeLomba, all that movement in the center of the ring.
That comes from staying on the outside and not clenching. Now again, staying at distance in boxing. And if DeLomba starts continuing to do what he's doing, which is finishing his combination with jabs and movement, Steele's going to be in for a really tough next two rounds.
That's the end of round number 4 between DeLomba and Steele. Let's listen into DeLomba's corner again.
Put the heat on him, but do it with your hands high. Do it with your hands high. Put the pressure on him now. He's fading. He's fading. Make him back up the rest of the fucking fight. All right?
5 coming up, right?
Yeah, 5 coming up. Stay on that body, right? But put pressure on him. He wants to fade. He's fading. He wants to
Fighting
quit.
beautiful fights. Pay attention now.
And keep turning him like that, man. Keep turning him like that. That's what we do, baby. We turn him. We make him dizzy.
Come on. Big one, come on. Another one.
Every minute you out there, all right?
The shoulder
You're
face
looking
work
good
is
out there, man. You're nice and loose now. Keep that rhythm. Keep that
You
rhythm.
went underneath with the uppercut. You found it yourself. It was
Hey,
beautiful.
when you do them feints, you fucking right up. Keep fainting. Keep fainting.
When he leaning in, hit him with some uppercut. Left or the right?
Relax. Go out there, take care of business. Go out there, take care of business.
You putting it in his eye, man.
We're back from Twin River Casino, round number 5 of a scheduled 6 between Nick DeLomba in the red and white trunks and Christian Steele in the black and white.
Beautiful feint with the 1-2 behind it, just as his corner asked him to do. DeLomba keeping his hands high, nice feint, and the 1-2 right behind it.
Mike Parenti with my broadcast partner, Scott Ream, bringing you all the action. DeLomba outworking, outpointing, out-hustling Christian Steele through the first 4 rounds of this bout. And you heard his corner, you heard Victor Fagnan say, put the pressure on, he's about to fade. We'll see if Steele has anything left to survive these last 2 rounds. Here's DeLomba picking up the intensity a bit.
He's just getting a little bit too close. He's just excited. You know, he's a younger guy. He wants to really let those punches go, and he keeps bringing his feet forward rather than standing still, realizing I can still hit him from out here. But when he does do that, he does the most damage.
To his credit, even when he gets inside and gets tied up, he doesn't stay there too long. He does find his way
Absolutely,
out.
Mike, great point. He realizes he's like, I'm in a little tight, I gotta get back out. There's a great 2-1 combination from distance. Steele needs to start playing his angles. He hasn't done that at all tonight. His corner asked him to work that jab, stay busy. He did better in the last round. Now he's working the jab here. Here's a 4-punch combination, 2 of which landed for... Wow, this is just... It's really starting to turn into a bit of a one-sided fight here.
And Steele just trying to clinch to stop the onslaught, but DeLomba finding his way out again, using his distance. Goes downstairs, back upstairs with the right hand.
I mean, Steele's nice 2-1 again. I like the way he's feinting the jab and coming with the 2-1.
And there it is, Scott. He turns out, turns the other way, fights on that angle, doesn't stay clinched up for too long. It's just constant movement from Nick DeLomba.
That's the first step-out angle I've seen Steele throw. He missed with it, but he did do it.
DeLomba pouring it on here in the final minute of this 5th round.
And that's why Steele clinched up with him. That right hand, that short right hand hurt him. Hands high by DeLomba, just like his corner asked.
You know, for what it's worth, Scott, DeLomba does have a habit of getting stronger as the fight goes on. He did it against Jimmy Smith in his debut, did it against Vinci Dixon in his 2nd pro fight, and he's doing it again here today, actually showing his best here in this 5th round.
Some guys are slow starters. It takes a little while to find their groove and rhythm. Once they find that groove, just get out of the way.
There it is, 5 rounds in the books. It's been all Nick DeLomba. What can Christian Steele do to stem the tide? Let's listen into his corner.
Come on, Chris, sit down, baby. No, he all right, man. Chris, look, man, you gotta use the jab, bruh, and you letting him come off with combinations, and you throw back, and you gain the points back, and you give it right back to him, Chris. Come on, man. Chris, look, you gotta keep working, man. You gotta come in behind the jab and stop letting him tie you up. Fuck it, leave the last 2 rounds right here. Chris, give him every fucking thing you got. Last round right here. This the last round. To knock him out. So you're gonna have to try to catch him with that overhand right. You gotta work every fucking second of this round, dog. Here, every fucking second, because you can win this fucking fight. Only thing you gotta do is
Give me that shit. Give me that shit. Give me that shit. Take that shit out. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Christian Steele's corner, brutally honest. You have to knock him out to win this fight. And they advise him to use that overhand right. Let's keep our eye on that. Round number 6 on the way. Mike Parenti, Scott Ream, ringside at Twin River Casino. Nick DeLomba in the red and white taking on Christian Steele in the black and white trunks.
I'd like to see Steele fight with a bit of a reckless abandon right now. I'd like to see him be as active as he can be for the next 3 minutes.
It's his only chance to win the fight, and we'll see if Christian Steele does let it all go here in these final 2.5 minutes. But DeLomba's not backing off either, Scott.
I don't expect him to. He hasn't been hurt in this fight. He's got a little bit of swelling underneath the right eye, but he hasn't been hurt. I think he feels the confidence. Nice straight right hand to the spleen there. That short left uppercut definitely paid dividends, got his attention. DeLomba does a great job when he's just taking those small steps and staying on the outside.
Effectively working the body, going back upstairs. He's really mixed it up well in this fight. We've talked about it so much throughout these first 5.5 rounds, working the angles, really doing all the little things, Scott.
His corner's done a great job in telling him to stay at distance. And when he stays at distance, he lands far cleaner than when he's jammed up on the inside.
And I know we've hammered this point home, but such a difference between his first few fights and now with a stable corner. The tutelage he gets between rounds, it's something you really can't, it's something you don't appreciate until you really see it firsthand. You've seen it from Nick DeLomba here tonight. A totally different fighter than he was in his debut.
Good for him. It's when you find a home, when you finally find a place you can call home, it means the world. It's Linus's security blanket, man. It's the boogie.
1 minute to go here in this fight. DeLomba continues to pour it on.
He's just ripping body shots here. Steele doing a great job defensively. I mean, he's not going anywhere.
And you know DeLomba eventually wants that knockout. He wants that stoppage. It may not come tonight, but it's a big
nice overhand right by Steele that kind of caught DeLomba's shoulder, but he is doing what his corner asked him to do. He's throwing it. How do you not respect this guy who's sitting here, he's fighting with everything he's got, doing what the corner's suggesting. He's just coming up short tonight.
Well, this is it. Final 30 seconds. Nice left hand by Steele. He has to empty the tank here, Scott, if he has any shot of catching Nick DeLomba.
DeLomba needs to keep his hands high, good defense, not make any serious mistakes, and STEELE needs just to do what you just said, empty the tank.
And try for that overhand right. We saw him try one just a few seconds
And
ago.
you just saw DeLomba turn him with this footwork, spin him right around. That right hook to the body has been damaging for DeLomba.
A big point score for Nick DeLomba. Final bell about to ring, and that's going to do it. 6 rounds in the
Great
books.
fight.
Another big step forward for Nick DeLomba of Cranston. And by all accounts, dominant in this fight, but Christian STEELE puts on a game effort. Really just couldn't keep up with DeLomba's angles, his speed. And really, Scott, just the overall output by Nick DeLomba was just too much for him to handle tonight. But a great effort nonetheless. Nick DeLomba, we see him taking strides with each fight, coming off that big win against Edwin Soto, and again here tonight, taking another step forward against a tough Christian STEELE.
You know, the young fighters, you love watching them come up. You love seeing them improve and get better. And I'm very happy to hear that DeLomba's found a home in some place he's comfortable. That's going to just pay huge dividends, and you've seen it tonight in his conditioning and his technique and everything else. And as far as, you know, STEELE's concerned, I mean, you got to tip your hat. Here's a guy with 15 pro fights. He came in here and he fought his heart out. He was doing the best he could with a really tough opponent, and it's tough to do it on the road all the time. And his record is actually an indicator of that, and that's too bad.
As you pointed out, STEELE is a veteran of 15, and I believe it's actually 17 fights. That's 15 fights. He has 2 draws on his record as well, and he has fought the majority of his fights on the road, whether he's been in North Carolina, Atlantic City, California, and now tonight here in Rhode Island. So he's always had to go in somebody else's backyard to fight and try to put forth that effort. And it can be tough to do, there's no question about that, but he's always gone the distance for the most part, and he gave Nick DeLomba 6 hard rounds tonight. DeLomba really working the angles, as we pointed out.
Great
went
job
to the
with his
body,
angles.
went upstairs, and he listened to his corner. That's the other important thing, too. Sometimes we hear the advice from the corner, but we never see the fighter actually do it when he gets back in the ring. But Nick DeLomba tonight actually did what his corner told him to do. He had Chucky Sullivan and Victor Fagdon in his corner, and he listened throughout the fight. That's a big adjustment and a big step for Nick DeLomba. So another big win for him. He is about to improve to 6-0. We'll get the scores in just a moment from our ring announcer, Adam Palazzo. But again, a valiant effort by Christian STEELE in this co-feature. But too much Nick DeLomba, really, from the opening bell and throughout those 6 rounds. So that does it. We'll send it down to Adam Palazzo for the particulars.
One more time for both these brave fighters tonight, folks. After 6 grueling rounds, we go to the scorecard. Judge Clark Sammartino scores the fight 60-54. Judge Don Trella scores the fight 60-54. Judge Eddie Scunzio scores the fight 60-54. For your winner by unanimous decision, ladies and gentlemen, Nick DeLomba.